Good morning, good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day you're actually listening. I'm Janey Anderson, and I am your host on the Journey with Janey podcast. And I am welcoming you here for Grief in the Workplace, which we've covered a few bits and pieces over the last few weeks. And it kind of came to me that actually, for all I'm not in a work-based situation currently, I do think that grief in the workplace is a big thing. So we don't often talk about grief in the workplace. It's very similar to what we discussed like last week. It's brushing it under the carpet that this person may have been off on bereavement leave and everybody's a bit kind of, oh, what do we do? What do we say? That kind of thing. So this is a reminder that grief doesn't stay at home. It travels everywhere with us. It's with us all the time, into meetings, into the inboxes and the emails, and in all our day-to-day routines. Yet, in so many workplaces, we're expected to carry on as if nothing's happened. Like I said before, like this, sweep it under the carpet. So in this episode, my invitation to you guys is to explore how workplaces can become more compassionate spaces for us personally, for colleagues, people we work with, and also our teams, for any of you who are like team leaders, or even if you're a member of a team, how you can gel that team compassion. So I've touched on, over the last few episodes, the hidden grief, the sweeping it under the carpet, the I'm okay aspect of things. And all I'm going to say is grief at work isn't somebody sitting crying into their cup of coffee or their cup of tea. Sometimes it can just be somebody sat in silence. And I've done it myself, even when I've been out with friends. I've just kind of gone into almost like a trance state. The colleague might look withdrawn, just not really focused. And maybe it's just the simple thing that the person who always used to tell the jokes or was always the first one to comment on something is just that little bit quieter. It's just noticing and being aware of people. So it's improving your people skills. And while I always talk about grief as being, the reason I'm here talking about it, these things can also link into mental health issues and things as well. It's not just grief. So, and that links back into, it's not all just about the death of somebody. It is identity. It could be a health issue, security, or even a role that they're actually doing that they don't feel at home with, if that makes sense. So what I'm saying is the workplace is often felt like something totally separate from personal life. And it's almost like we don't give space for the human side of things in the workplace. And I'm not saying this is everybody. This is just me generalizing and giving some tips on how this looks in some places. And I have had conversations with obviously my past colleagues, my past managers, and even just in conversations with networking events or, anywhere I've been, if the workplace comes up, it's often something that's brought up. And people often say, we really want to help, but we don't know what to say. And I get that. And from a manager or a team point of view, they really do want to help. And then if you switch that to like the personal side, like the person who is in grief or, for whatever reason, they're all saying, I wish work understood what I'm carrying, how I'm feeling. So the grief literacy, almost like what I've got used to talking about, is is being able to understand and to respond to the grief with compassion, like I mentioned before. And, when you think of a workplace, there could be one or two people in the team, it could be a huge company. And it's not always simple. And all I'm saying is support doesn't have to mean massive, huge gestures or policies. It can start with that small human interaction. Basically like a manager asking, how are you today? Rather than, are you back to normal? Because what is normal? Who knows? It's the offering of some flexibility. If you need to pop off and sit and have 5 minutes in silence to just bring yourself back to the now without any judgment, without anybody saying, oh, she's off again, or oh, he's off, he's disappeared again, he's popped outside for some fresh air, or she's gone for a walk. What planet's she on? Just give people a bit of breathing space. And I think the biggie for me is actually talking about it. Talk about the person who died. Conversations about loss of identity. Make it normal. I know I said what is normal, but make it so that people have these conversations. In the quiet reset that I do as a workshop that I take into workplaces, this links to my quiet field, and it is all about pausing, having time to think, having time to reflect, and being comfortable with having these conversations. I also help them understand the impact of grief and how it can affect people. I always communicate with sensitivity, and it's almost bringing that empathetic into the whole process of it all. And I hate using the word process, but bringing that empathy, compassion into the workplace and actually acknowledging it. And that helps build trust between the employee and the employer. And when people feel seen and heard, they start to be more involved and engage more because they feel they have their meaning back. So it's the whole journey of not sweeping it under the carpet and actually acknowledging that these people do need some attention and knowing what to say, knowing how to react, and doing that in a way that is good for both the team and the manager. When Jonathan died, I was in full-time work, even though I was, in between recoveries from my hip operations. But I still tried to, I was still having conversations with work. And I do know, and I have spoken to some of the team since I made the decision to leave, that they did find it hard. They did find it difficult to speak to me because they didn't know what to say. I almost went into kind of an overdrive when I did go back to work, because I did go back for a little bit. And it was like pushing through. That's the only way I can describe it. Trying so that I felt productive at what I was doing. It was almost like there was a pressure to perform in the workplace. But what I really needed was a permission to pause and delve into my grief and heal from the inside out. And we don't need fixing. We need understanding and space to pause with where we're at, which is why the quiet field, where you come and you're not on the roller coaster of life. Well, we are all on the roller coaster of life. We're all on the hamster wheel in some shape or form. Just depends how fast we're running. So it's being able to pause and take those small, simple steps. And I know I talk about this in a grief world, but also in a workspace, actually giving people direction is always helpful as well. They might not see it at the time, but actually small, simple steps to say, well, tomorrow morning we're doing this, this, and this. So they're not going home and overthinking things. All I'm saying is we can carry both grief and growth in the same space. And they belong together. Otherwise we wouldn't function. I hope that makes sense. And I'm not really sure I've actually said too much today that will help people. But I think without actually being in a specific workplace and understanding the logistics of how the workplace works, everything's different. So all I'm saying is just be aware and be able to be compassionate for those people who are coming back and have that understanding. So as we close today, these are some prompts that I've come up with. How does grief show up in your work or your team? What small act of compassion could you offer yourself or a colleague this week? What would it look like if your workplace allowed space for both productivity and humanity? If this episode's resonated, and I'm hoping it has, I'd like you to get in touch, have a little chat about the quiet reset workshops that I can bring into the workplace to enhance the grief literacy that I've talked about, and the meaning-centered work that I do. finding meaning into the workplace. All the details are on my website, and links are in the description as well. So thank you for listening today. I know it's short and sweet, and I look forward to chatting to you all next week when I'm going to do an overview of the last 9 episodes. Thank you for joining me on the Journey with Janey podcast. It's always a pleasure to be with you on a Wednesday or whenever you are downloading and listening to the Journey with Janey podcast. All I ask is that you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also remember, there are ways of contacting me through my website on www.journeywithjaney.com. There's a contact button to book a call, which is a free 15-minute call. And all the details of the ways to work with me are on my website. I'm always available for a chat, a DM, or just a message via LinkedIn or Instagram. We all have the social handles now. Just drop me a message and let's talk. And remember, we don't have to do this alone, which is exactly why I am here to help guide you on this journey. I am the me that I needed 3 years ago, and I hope and feel that I can help you on your journey of moving forward by taking small, simple steps. So from me to you, take care.